This is Cold Start.
And on today's episode, we have a guest here in the Icebox. We're joined by a longtime friend of mine, Tim Barber. Welcome.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Your business is called TFB, so what's that F stand for?
I like people to make up whatever they want. I don't have a middle name, so I'll give credit to Vince Palaio. Everyone gives credit to Joey Ham, but it was actually Vince Palaio, who used to be a factory Emick racer, and then he was the engine guy when I finally showed up at Emick. And so first initial, F and last initial. That's where it actually came from. And I just didn't, you can't have a two-letter, I literally don't have a middle name, so.
So Tim, F and B.
RCR, all the big names are a three-letter acronym, TRG, and so.
It's just the filler. The F's always the filler.
Somehow it fits the part.
What I get asked most now is like, do you know Gary Carlton? I was like, yeah, I did it first. Tell him I said that.
Nice. That's awesome.
So give a little bit about your background. Like, how would you describe yourself? Like, pro driver, team owner? What is kind of your title within the motorsport industry? Everything? Anything?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I never planned on doing most of this. I was trying to be a pro driver. Literally started racing RC cars when I was like 10. And I met a guy that 20 years later, actually ran into up here. He had a car at Cypress Lane Racing. Richard McCluskey. I raced against this guy in RC cars. And he had a Formula Ford, and he was like, come out to the race. And back in the mid to late 90s, you still had to be 18 to get a pro license with SCCA. You could get emancipated and get a license. You're 16 with SCCA. He's like, I was 12 at the time. He's like, well, you can't get a license for years, but you can start karting. And got a kart that Christmas, and my life's been downhill ever since. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. I was like, he was wearing an RC shirt, and I was like, are you Richard McCluskey? He goes, yeah. He goes, I got a bone to pick with you. And he was like, what? And I was like, this is all I do 7 days a week now.
You're the reason that I got
bastard.
addicted to motorsports.
Yeah.
He was kind of like your dealer in that way.
Yeah, 100%.
First one's free, man.
So it started with karting, and then did you make the transition to open wheel? Was that kind of the next step after go-karting?
Yeah, didn't know anything about it. Took my first go-kart lesson from Joey Hand, Cal Expo, indoors. It was like tires and plywood. It was actually a really cool track. Mike DeRozier, who you still see up the kart track, he ran that school. Joey worked for him. Started racing in IKF, International Kart Federation, local region. And then to get into cars, did the Russell School when I was like 15. And then to do the Pro Series, you have to get a USAC license. They did the licensing back then. And there was a guy, Dennis Johansson. He used to race sprint cars. He was one of the USAC officials who was here on site all the time. Ended up getting emancipated so I could get a license to do the Pro Series out here. So went through the Russell thing. And Dennis was honest about it, just looking at things. He's like, trying to get into Formula cars is really difficult now. It's, there's less chances. But roundy round stuff, road race stuff or IndyCar, Formula One, whatever, it's more difficult. There's more opportunities and circle track stuff, whether that's open wheel or stuff with fenders. And so got into sprint cars, ended up doing that for a living for a while.
So from karts, you went to Russell School. What did you drive at the Russell School? What did they teach you on?
The Formula Mazdas.
Oh, so open wheel cars.
Yeah, open wheel cars.
Okay.
And they were, the Pro Formula Mazda, when I was doing that, was still the same chassis, rotary motor, and it had the kind of swoopier body. Mm-hmm. Those clunky, boxy bodies, I found out later, I knew the guy who designed those, Mark Pivick, who lives in China now, still doing composite stuff. Those uglier bodies, quote unquote, that the school had were actually aerodynamically better than the pro bodies. They just didn't look as good.
Wow. It's hard to know how those are going to perform. It's not like they put them in a wind tunnel.
No, he did.
Did he?
But yeah, that actually, if you took one of those school bodies and put it on the pro car, it would actually be faster.
That's cool. Kind of a handful, or did you feel like you took to it right away?
Can't say I took to it right away. It took hard work like anything else. I mean, if you want to be good at it, just, seat time. And I use the term seat time with whatever you want to do, whether it's playing the flute or racing cars or, if you immerse yourself in it, right? To be a professional, you need 10,000 hours.
Right,
whatever,
right.
Just that kind of thing.
After the school, how did you get from that into sprint cars? What's that process?
So I'm trying to remember exactly. My first job out of high school was working for Ron Cortez at AIM Tires, which I now own. So I was racing karts in high school, started the Russell thing because I graduated in 2000, and I won their little pro series. That basically it was just a 3-race series. They had the NASCAR weekend here. I can't even remember what the other one is. And then there was one race at Thunder Hill. but they're on bigger weekends, whatever. Won that, so I got some prize money from that. I still have the big stupid checks. They said if I win that, I can use the money to try and continue racing. If not, I got to go to college. And so I won that. I was working for Ron. I didn't really have anything lined up. He ran the GTA series, which is something he created from road course stock cars. They were ASA cars, or the Hooters Pro Tour.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Howe chassis. They were symmetrical, but they ran on all ovals.
Oh, interesting.
He took that, made a road race class. It was a spec, iron engine, pretty simple things. And those GTA cars is what became TA2. Because in 2005, they got invited to be like a filler with Trans Am because they were getting kind of smaller numbers.
Right.
Ron said, I think I can get you a ride in GTA, which is now what TA2 cars are. And I did that season in 2001, won that. It was a regional thing, right? Bunch of good dudes. I still see some of them at the track. Guys that did like the local Southwest Tour race and road race stuff. But
right on. Was that having to buy a seat, or did you have sponsorship, or how did that go?
It was kind of like a half-half. I'd pay for tires. No, I didn't have to pay for tires because I worked for Ron. I paid for entry fees, and I had to like pay for damage. So I kind of got a sweetheart deal from a guy up north, Johnny Nolan, who had cars. I worked for Ron. So going to these events, he was like, well, this is kind of a dumb idea. But he's like, if you're still willing to bust tires in between your sessions, I'll give you a set of tires every weekend. So I'd go out and qualify the car. Sometimes I'd be able to take off my suit, and I'm in there changing everybody's tires in between practice and the race or whatever.
Nice.
To earn my free set of tires and run that series. It was always, most of the rides I got, it was I either worked in the shop and they paid for things, or like my first sprint car ride, I paid for tires, he paid for everything else. So it's a sweetheart deal. I mean, I wasn't paying a fraction of it, but
yeah, I was saying that's a pretty
still
good setup.
You had to perform to be able to afford to eat and get the tires. So
Good motivation.
Yeah.
Getting into sprint cars, I'm sure that was kind of a fun and chaotic thing. When short track circle racing, I feel like that's the more affordable thing to get into, to develop maybe racecraft, race feel, stuff like that, comparative to trying to get into open wheel circuit racing. And so was that kind of like the mindset or the path? And within sprint cars, I mean, were you doing pavement, dirt, winged, non-winged, a mixture of everything?
So after the 2001 season with Ron, I hooked up with a car owner. Basically had lost their driver, and he switched to another team. It was Tony Hunt, and he went back to his old car owner, and there was a seat available. It was a rent-a-ride, but again, cheap. There's more opportunities, I feel like, in circle track racing, and
Yeah.
It's not a 5-day weekend. You show up, the gates open at noon, you set up, you get somewhere between 30 and 50 seconds of practice, and you go qualify. Like, you either show up ready or you're host.
That's trial by fire.
Which I think could do a lot for a lot of club racers. Like, no, show up ready. You're not rebuilding your car in the pits because you didn't do anything during the last 3 weeks off.
Right. Yeah, vehicle prep, and then like driver development of like, you got to get in the car and you got to be on it. You're not going to have 20 minutes of a warm up to get ready for qualifying. It's like, no, you got to be on top of it.
And
right
to
off
be
the bat.
honest, I looked at it. I was turning my nose up a little bit. I started in road race karting, did the Formula car thing, road course stock car. I'm listening to Dennis, and he's like, there's opportunities over here, do this. And I'm kind of like, I mean, I don't have a choice, so I'll go see how it goes. But I'm like, you look at these tracks, and I'm like, you have to drive around 100 laps by yourself. I'm like, this is going to be boring. But I really think it helped my driving. This was all pavement. The Western States sprint car stuff was all pavement. At this point, they did 2 seasons in their 25-year history that included dirt, but this is all pavement. The thing is, I mean, they're crazy to drive. A lot of the smaller tracks you go to, you can't floor it. I mean, you can floor it, but you're going to be slower. It just blows the tires off. At Irwindale, you're doing like 110 at the flag stand. You can still just light the tires off. You're nowhere near floored yet. So a lot of new stuff. I was kind of like, we'll see how this goes. It's crazy. It's all fast paced. I was luckily competitive. It was a really good car. And just dealing with that, there's no mirrors. I mean, it's your open wheel.
And there's no spotter, right?
No. There's
You could barely hear anything in the
eventually
radio.
later when I did the Silver Crown stuff, you have a radio, but they're definitely loud. It's almost
You can't hear
pointless
anything.
to have. Yeah. And those guys figure out how to do it. And this is just on pavement. You're going straight. And then, dirt stuff, you're chucking it sideways. Those guys get around the track leaning on each other. I mean, you literally feel it out. And if you get good at it, there are sensory stuff. You can hear them. You can kind of tell, like, well, if he was over here and you kind of watch the angle he went by, it's like he's going to be over there somewhere. And like a lot of road racers could benefit from this. You knew he was over here. He went sliding by that way. If you're not sure where he is, leave a car with so you're not both crashed. You know,
Right.
the whole argument, it was my corner, blah, blah. It's like, did you see me in your mirror? Yeah. And then you just dive bomb me. Was I in your mirror again? No. I didn't know where you were. So leave a car with.
Yeah, where could I have been?
Yeah, I blame the guy who gets dumped off somebody's nose a lot in road racing. I'm like, he didn't get on a magic carpet. He's somewhere. Do you think he dive bombed you on the outside? No, he went to the like, come on, dude.
But I feel like that's like a thing within racing nowadays is like the consequences of an accident are so low, right? When you're in a sprint car, if you touch someone, you could bicycle the thing outside of the racetrack. Like there's serious consequences of getting hurt. You don't want to touch someone else. I mean, road race cars nowadays are so safe. It's like, I can do stupid stuff. I can get hit. I can get turned. And like, I'm not going to be hurt, right? My wallet might be hurt a little bit because I banged up my car and I got to yell at a guy in a paddock and like have an argument. But for the most part, like, and I've heard these stories too of guys that have run open wheel cars back in the old days where it's like, yeah, you respected other people because you didn't want to wreck because you're like, yeah, I could get real hurt in this thing. Like this isn't a safe modern day race car like we have nowadays. You kind of have that like mutual respect of, I want to go home at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. You know, yes, it go. I spoke to somebody who's now a series leader in a recognizable road race series out here about, I think it would do a lot. I wasn't even being funny. It's like, you can't just call off and cold cock somebody in the pits like you can in sprint cars still. I mean, there's sometimes consequence there, aside from the physical part. But I was like, if you just set up a boxing ring in most of these road races and be like, okay, you think a guy did you dirty, you got 2 minutes to do whatever to each other with headgear and some gloves on. If the guy's bigger than you, drive nice around him, or he's going to wear you out for 2 minutes. Like, the guy loved it. I'm not going to say, if he hears it, not that he would, he'd know what I was talking about, but it's like, yeah, it's just the respect thing, or actually getting hurt. So I did the Ron's GTA thing, won that, started the sprint car season, and then through another road race guy, I was always doing driver coaching in between events to earn a buck. That customer bought a Formula Renault 1600. It was a Fran-Am series. So Formula Renault has been a feeder series in Europe for a long time, 1600 2-liter. Then they eventually had the V6 car and brought it to a shop over in Oakland called Convergent Techniques. That guy had known him for a while, and he was like, dude, you're like 60. Like, what are you doing getting a Formula car? Like, no. He's like, well, if you win this road race series, you get a free 2-liter car, all your entry fees, and all the tires for you. It's like 30 sets of tires to do the national series. And he was like, all right, I know a guy. And there was a guy that worked at Auto Spa who went to work for this guy. And he was like, yeah, that old guy's not going to win the series. I know a guy. Call him and see what he's doing. So I'd already started the sprint car season. I get a call from Convergent Techniques. They're like, will you race this car? And he just wanted to do it. And so he gave that guy a BMW that I then worked on in the shop and kept it around and coached him so that we could use his car for a year and try and win the free car. Total anarchy, total shit show. We pulled it off. And then you start to learn how things actually work in racing. The guys who started the Fran-Am series, they were a bunch of crooks. So we didn't get our actual prize car until like halfway through the season. We ended up buying a car, a used car, and it just gong show, just, not being able to trust people. But yeah, GTA, then sprint cars and Formula Renault at the same time. I actually quit my sprint car ride while leading the points. I was leading the Formula Renault points as well because of an issue with the team owner.
I mean, this just seems insane of like...
It's all insane.
Like a hodgepodge list of series of karting, open wheel, now sprint cars, now what would become TA2 Trans Am, back to open wheel cars. You're just winning stuff. I mean, like, there's got to be some, like, natural ability in, like, this development of being the top and, like, being successful in pretty much anything. And then also having, like, the knowledge and the whereabouts of, like, setup, which, to me, that's always, like, kind of this black magic of, like, car setup is, like, such a phenomenal and such, like, a super important thing. And I feel like so many racing drivers, pro drivers nowadays, know nothing about setup. And, like, back in those days, it was so important of, like, no, you got to be able to wrench on the car. You got to be able to know, like, if I make a turn on the wrench here, like, this is going to affect this, and this on the car. And, I mean, like, there's got to be a piece from your end that there was just natural ability of just being connected in with these vehicles and then maybe also being surrounded by the right people.
No, when I started, I didn't know shit. I mean, honestly. So I always played with the RC cars, and it's just what I want to do. My parents they didn't promote it all. They were trying to like push me away from it. My brother raced pro motocross. When I was born, my mom's like, all right, just the only rule is like no motorcycles for this kid. I finally convinced my dad to get a dirt bike when I was like 12. Almost lost my left foot. Had a lot of surgery, skin grafts, fun stuff like that. Spent some time at Stanford Children's Hospital. And he was like, all right, well, you screwed that up, kid. And I was like, well, he's like, you know, 4-wheels are a lot safer. If we get a go-kart, I think we can convince your mom of it. He still wanted to go racing. He was the dad with the van and traveling around, whatever.
All right, yeah.
But in the RC stuff, I always worked on my stuff, and I would just twist his arm. There was down behind SFO, there was a food catering company that they had a container there, and every Sunday morning, they were closed. They would let us use their parking lot. And it was like freshly paved. So we'd set up the boards and the timing system, and we'd have to get there early and set the whole thing up. It was pretty well organized. I had a driver's stand. And we all raced RC cars on Sundays. I'd have to go kick my dad at like 5 a.m. on Sundays. Like I'd load the van. Sometimes I'm loading the van to like 2 a.m. So when I'm like 11, I'm already like working through the night, getting ready for the race weekend, blah, blah. Kick my dad, make him drive me there. And he'd just sleep in the van while I raced RC cars all day. So I met that guy. When he got the carts, I mean, he was busy working. He was like, I'll buy the cart, but I'm not working on it. Like, you got to figure this out on your own. So I kind of had to.
So it was just like putting in the hours of just doing it. And like,
yeah.
So you started from a point of you didn't know anything.
If I wanted to do it, I had to do
like figure it out.
This, and this, yes.
And it was like no one was telling you what to do or not to do. I mean, like, I'm assuming with RC cars.
Sometimes, but you've seen like when you get competitive, when you show up and you suck and you're brand new, everyone's like, oh, good, fresh blood. Like, they're helpful. And then you're competitive, and then people turn.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had like mentors or people who like helped you along the way, or was it just kind of like fend for yourself, man, figuring it out?
Both, and then you have people get weird on you, and other people see that, and then if you react the way somebody else might actually be able to help you likes, they're just like, oh, that kid didn't take any shit from him. Like, I almost got in a fist fight with Tom Dyer's dad. That's how I met Tom Dyer like 25 years ago. I swear to God, I didn't talk to him for like over a decade, and I was like, I mean, that was a long time ago. I was a teenager. Like, we're cool, right? He's like, oh yeah, I see him all the time. It's
That's
like,
so funny. And I know Tom, and he's like the most mild-mannered, get along with anybody, the most polite guy. And I've met his dad, and I'm trying to put my head around like what that must have been like.
Oh yeah, different personalities.
Oh, entirely. That's so funny.
But it's funny you say that, because it's like, yeah, I remember when we worked on the road course sprint car project, and I was like jumping in for the first time, and you're like, okay, what do I expect? Like, what should I do? How is this going to drive? And it's like, you'll figure it out. Yeah, you get to that point where like no one's going to give you information of like, yeah, go and figure it out and spend the time. And I mean, like, I just don't understand how you've like learned so well of like learning setups. To me, that seems like such a crazy thing to do. And like, was it a part of just trial and error of like being willing to spend a test day to like make adjustments with the suspension, alignment, whatever it was, and just kind of see if it worked and see if it didn't work?
Yeah. I mean, I hung around the hands a lot in go-karting, and, you know, again, I knew nothing, so I'm just like,
trying to absorb
kind of whatever they say, and then you feel it seat your pants, and I was competitive, and then you end up going to races they're not at, and he started getting into cars, so you got to fend for yourself, and I'm competitive, so I hate losing, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to figure this the hell out and try this, that, and the other, what works, what doesn't work. Whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong, it's like, well, it worked. I was faster, so. And so you get a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, like, oh, you're not supposed to do it like that. I'm like, well, you lost, so who's wrong? Like, I don't,
Right.
Whatever, man.
That's sort of self-reinforcing. You're like, this is working, so shut up.
Yeah, with the sprint car thing, that's actually what blew that up. So jump in. They basically just said, here's this. Do you need it to turn more, or do you need more traction? Like, that was it. And like,
Jesus.
I never did a test day. I think I just showed up at the first race and like survived that. I got like 5th or something, and I was all pissed off. And like everybody that finished ahead of me was a previous champion in Western States, and they're like, "Yeah, you're fine." And I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Right, yeah.
Madera was the second race, and we didn't have any more practice tires. So normally I only get one set. You get a used set to practice on, then you get a new set for qualifying. We had cut a tire or something, so we had 2 new sets. They're like, "All right, you're gonna get new tires in practice, and then another new set in qualifying. Let me know which one you like better, because it's stagger and everything else." And stagger would be exactly the same. They got a little different personality. Or they take a different tire pressure to get to the same amount of stagger, so you have different spring rates, essentially. Which, again, is all news to me. I'm like, I don't know. And I was faster on one. So practice decent. They put on the next set. I go out and qualify, and I set a track record. And I was like, yeah, I suppose that's it. And so it started like going well, but I don't fucking know anything. So
No, I mean, I wonder how much of that is just not knowing limits, right? Not having a point of reference where you can say like, you're supposed to drive this time, or there's this place where if you get beyond this, and then, you're competing with the best of the best. If you just go out there and throw it down and don't have that reference.
So I'm still road racing. So I got yelled at the first race, and I'm still trying to like roll the corner, which is just dumb in a short course sprint car. Like you go in, stop, turn around, drag race. Like it's a lot easier. Yeah. And I'm like slowing down, like driving through the corner. So I'm smashing into the back bumpers of these guys in the middle of the corner. And then they lead me down the straightaway. I'm like, damn it. So I drive it in harder and run up in the middle of the corner and smash them in the middle of the corner. And everyone's like, dude, you can't pass me in the middle of the corner. Like, stop wearing out my tail tank. And I'm like, I literally didn't understand why they're going so slow in the middle of the corner.
Just because it was a different driving
I've never
style.
driven anything but momentum stuff. I mean, I drove shifter carts, but even then, you're just trying to roll as much speed as possible. I didn't get it. So next race, they're like, at Madera, it's like kind of progressive banking. And most people go in and diamond it. And I didn't even know how to do that. So I'm running around the bottom, and it gets a little tight in the center, but it has little speed bump things. Or like it's not curbs, but it's got like gator back. So I just rattle the left side the right amount, and it would turn me and shoot off the corner. And I set a track record. And they're just like, you're not even in the right part of the track. I'm like,
but it worked.
Am I? Like,
works for me, dude.
So,
So taking that like road course mindset of like, if you need a car to turn on a road course, you bang the curb and it can kind of like rotate the car.
No, in 4 more years going to Madeira, I can never make it work again. I mean, I think there was just some luck to it, and the car was tight enough. I got lucky in how I hit the curbs, and I pulled it off. So it didn't make any sense. But so I'm asking these guys, like, the left rear spring's heavier than the right rear spring, but I'm going left and the offset and stagger. I knew nothing about this. Start learning some stuff, asking for changes, kind of figuring out, starting to like not run into people at weird parts of the track and actually pass them in places you could pass them. We go to Tucson, and I go off practice, and the car is just shaking itself to death. And I mean, they vibrate and make a ton of noise anyways. And I'm like, I don't know if this is right or not. And it's a faster track than we normally go to, or that we had been going to. We're going to like little 3/8 miles and whatnot. And I was like shaking like hell. And somebody else came over, who ended up being a friend. He was like, dude, I can see your wheels like bounce. Like, you're going to tear the drivetrain out. I was like, yeah, I can't see straight, but I don't know like what's normal. You don't bitch in sprint cars. And like when I got the ride, I'm like, oh, I asked my car, I'm like, do you ever race? He's like, I don't drive those things. Like they want to do it, but they won't get in the seat. They know they're dangerous. And I'm like, so there's the more opportunities, right? It's not as safe as everything else out there.
But that's like old school racing. Like that's how race cars were back in the day.
Yeah, there's car owners are like
car owners, and they're like, I'm not jumping in that thing. Are you crazy? But I want to watch it go round.
Yeah, and I knew enough to know you never say you're scared or like, oh my. It's like, no, just get out there and wood it and shut up. Like,
right.
Yeah, you're better off crashing, doing something totally, a 0% chance pass than not trying to pass. You'll get fired for not trying if you're there. If you cartwheel it out of the park, they're just like, well, you went for it. Slim chance, but you got balls, kid. And it's like, okay.
We'll rebuild it for
Normally
you.
It was bad. Like, don't crash. Like, why'd you crash? Like, that was never going to happen. If you don't take that chance, that was, in my mind, I was taught that's the negative. So I'm like, just balls the wall all the time.
It's kind of like gladiators, like old school sprint car racing. It's like,
I mean,
you're meant to go out there and fight and put on a show.
The second guy I got a ride from was Ken Pearson. He built a brand new chassis, and then he just told me, he's like, oh yeah, this one guy, Kevin, like we always brought a spare car, but if you go out there and overdo it in practice and flip his dick off, I always told him like, well, help me pull out the spare. You're not done yet, buddy. And it's like,
that's insane.
If you haven't left in the ambulance, you're running again. Like, stop crashing my shit. Like that was the punishment. It's like, no, now you have to drive with a concussion or blood in your eyeballs. It was.
So it's pretty like diehard stuff. And so you went through sprint cars, and then, I mean, within the sprint car world, is Silver Crown considered like top of the line? Or at least like back in that day, was like getting into Silver Crown like the final?
It was supposed to be the more elite. So I was doing regional stuff. But every year my car owner did the Little 500. It's a 500 lap sprint car race. You do pit stops. Absolutely insane. Same track that I told you about the rollover contest at.
Do they still do this event?
Oh, yeah. It's the night before the 500.
Sick.
You should go see it at some point. It's just...
To do a pit stop on a sprint car would be insane.
Uh-huh.
Are they like, so coming down pit lane, if they can do a quicker pit stop than the other guys, can you gain positions on pit lane, or is it kind of like you roll in and roll off the same?
Like anything racing, there's some politics and whatnot. So it's a high bank quarter mile in Anderson, Indiana, and it's got an X in the middle. And so they do figure eight races and stuff like that.
Oh, Jesus.
Total entertainment.
Pit lane crosses itself. You can't fit all. They start 33 cars on a quarter mile. They take up half the track. You start 3 wide, which you have about 6 inches between the wall, the next car, and hitting the apron.
Holy crap.
So just getting started, and they tell everyone, hey, be cool, you're not going to win at the first lap, blah, blah. It's like, there's not a spare inch to get 33 sprint cars started on this place.
Wow.
And then you pull into the pits in an X, so the pits cross each other. And then there's just trucks lined up, and when you're done pitting, you wave or you use a flashlight to flash in his eyes, and they come over and they shove you off, crossing traffic.
What?
Yes. The whole thing's an X.
I mean,
And
do people hit one another? Like, has it happened, or like you kind of just like
there's a
figure
lot of
it
near
out?
misses. They just figure it out. It's like, yeah,
Everyone's adults in the
you
room.
know the risks. Like, yeah, it's like, watch out.
Wow.
And the whole pits they don't have like an inside wall. It's just K-wall at like 45-degree angles to like, you have to be going some really weird direction to get through it, but then you're just in the pits.
And tell for people that aren't familiar, like the mechanics of these cars themselves. Like talk about the makeup of them, the setup of them, the tires. Like what do they look like? How do they come together? How are they different than what most people are used to?
They run alcohol, which has its own set of things you got to deal with, but it's essentially, to boil it down, it's a NASCAR motor on alcohol. So similar horsepower, like just call it 900. Not all of them have it. A lot of times you can't use all of it, but there's 360s, there's 410s. There's no rules there. You can run a V6. There's guys that have done it. If it looks like a sprint car, you can run a little 500.
That's sick.
But people home make their fueling rigs, so there's like 55-gallon drums on top of ladders. Like you can wear shorts. Like I have GoPro video of my now father-in-law smoking a cigarette while fueling the car, and the vents just like peeing alcohol down my helmet. They're like, you signed the waiver. I think it's great. I mean, need more of it, or just consequences. Make people mind better. You have a lot less stupid stuff in races with consequences rather than, it was my corner, and then you got to go talk to the officials for 6 days with an appeal process. It's like, no, you might get punched in the mouth if you do something real dumb or hurt somebody. Like,
yeah. So I mean, it's 900 horsepower, basically hooked up to your kneecaps.
Oh yeah, there's no starter. There's basically just a lever that takes the rear end out of gear. So it's a solid rear end, and there's literally just, you have a yoke out of the back of the motor, drive shaft goes in that, straight into the rear end, so it's turning all the time. You can pull a pin and disengage the rear end. So you just lock it in gear. There's only 2 pedals, and when the push truck shoves you off, you hit the ignition switch, and you're going. So the slowest you can go is idle, which on a quarter mile, it's probably 35 miles an hour. On the bigger tracks, like the super speedway car, what we turned into your Pike Speed car, had a 2-speed because you needed a gear that would go 215, but you can't get out of the pits with that, so you have a 2-speed transmission. It's a motor on wheels.
It's like the basic, most simplistic form of motorsport, of like motor direct to rear end, bunch of horsepower driving both rear tires.
Yep.
And then it's staggered. So like one rear tire is a little bit bigger than the other to kind of help it turn.
Help it around the corner. It rolls like a top. You set a top on the ground, it rolls around in a circle. That's what stagger does. And so you can adjust that with air pressure and yada yada and how much you want. But
and go as fast as you can with the simplest amount of engineering possible.
Yes, and they do that. They're probably, road race sprint cars, they're a little heavier than the dirt cars can be, but it's called 1,400 pounds.
And just a cage around you.
It's the chassis. I mean, yeah, it's just one.
So 900 horsepower, 1,400 pounds, pissed off all the time.
Mm-hmm. And then pit stops with tow trucks and flashlights, and most of your crews in shorts and over the age of 60, and it's a good time.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. So moving from the little 500, which is still sprint cars, and then you ran Silver Crown for a little bit?
So got into the pavement sprint car stuff. He always did the little 500, and then he wanted to go do some bigger events. And the guy I was driving for was Ken Pearson, and he was always the rival of Ted Finkenbinder, who's now my father-in-law. He wanted to do some national stuff, so we started doing some national events and doing okay. And then he had a Silver Crown car, a pavement Silver Crown car in the back. And the first time he pulled it out was like my second season, and Josh Wise, who's like he does a lot of fitness stuff with a lot of NASCAR drivers now. You always see him like taking the newer guys around, doing a walk and whatever. And he was always fast. He was doing national midget stuff. I think he was a Mopar guy at the time. We took the car to Phoenix for him to run, and I think he was fast. I don't remember what happened, if it broke or something, but he was faster than that. And then he wanted to go do the next Silver Crown event in addition to our regional stuff, and he asked if I would drive it. I can't remember the first one we did, but you got all the big teams, and Tony Stewart's running a team, and like it's the big show, right? Traveling.
Yeah, getting closer to like what NASCAR would be.
Yeah, and that's where NASCAR was still getting a lot of their talent, and that leads to why they came up with the Super Speedway Silver Crown idea. But we started doing more and more Silver Crown events or national sprint car events, and we were still doing decent. The week before the Little 500, or maybe it's the same week, but basically you have the Indy 500. There's the night before the 500 is always a race at IRP, and you have the Little 500. And they cram it in within a week. It's not always the same date, I don't think. I don't remember exactly. So we were going to do the Little 500 and the pavement race at IRP in the Silver Crown car. And we're doing really well that night. We got a yellow with like 3 to go. And again, I was doing the road course thing. Like everyone runs mid to high on that track because it's a little bit of progressive braking. It's pretty flat. And we didn't qualify great. And I just thought, like, if you follow those guys around, like, you're just, to pass somebody, you got to dive down low and basically roast your tires. Like, I'm not going to go forward.
Yeah.
But if you tap the apron, it'll turn you. So I just set my car up tight. There was an argument about how much fuel to put in it. Car owner won because it's his car. I think he was like, it's my fucking car. If you buy a car, you can put however much you want in it. So, okay, so we didn't have a full tank. And I'm just using the apron. I hadn't slid my car at all. Everyone's roasting their tires. It's a 100-lap race.
Yeah.
With like 10 laps to go, I was in third place. Leffler was leading. I forget who was in second. It was like Carl Edwards or like a bunch of NASCAR guys because they were in town would always come back and do the event. We get a yellow. I was like, oh, these guys are hosed. Like I was catching them like 2/10 a lap, like not even trying. And you could see them, it's getting close to the end. My car runs out of gas or out of alcohol on the last yellow.
Oh,
I mean, we had
what
that
a
thing.
drag.
We had it won.
Oh, man.
I was like effortlessly running these guys down.
Do you turn back to the owner at this point and you go like, listen to your driver?
Oh, yeah. There was almost a fist fight in my pit at that point. Like, we got all done with that. But because they were getting a lot of the talent in the NASCAR from USAC stuff, it's like if you can drive a dirt sprint car, pavement sprint car, midgets, Silver Crown, all these different disciplines, you give somebody something with 4 wheels and they're going to figure it out. Like, they can all be so wild or different. It's like, okay, if you figured all those out and you're competitive in each of them, you can probably drive.
I mean, it's kind of like proven with everyone goes to Kyle Larson, right? Like that's the big name nowadays of like, hey, look, he did all these different disciplines.
Or Tony Stewart
USAC.
or Mario Andretti. Those are the top 3 I can think of. Is like you give them 4 wheels, AJ Foyt.
They'll figure it out. I mean, like
they're going to be decent.
Well, if you can figure out a sprint car, like to me, sprint cars are still like probably the gnarliest motorsport machines I can think of. Like that much horsepower, like that fast in the corners. If you're able to think that quick, adapt to the situation, even especially like dirt oval racing, like you have to find grip, you have to experiment, you have to change, you have to adapt. In-car adjustments, like people don't think about winged sprint cars. There's a switch that you can adjust the wing and adjust the balance and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, like if you can figure that stuff out, you can kind of go run anything. So it makes sense of why these, maybe NASCAR teams or IndyCar teams are looking at potentially USAC to be like, this is where we could find our next talent.
Yeah, and like the in-car adjustments, I mean, you have like adjustable shocks. If you're on dirt, you're doing tear-offs. The Silver Crown car, it's a 75-gallon tank. So you're putting whatever the math is on that. It's lighter than water, heavier than gas. But
Yeah, I want to say it's like 450 pounds of gas.
Behind the rear tires.
Yeah.
On dirt, you have, 6 to 12 pounds of pressure. On pavement, you're going to have, 8 to 15. But yeah, it's a lot of weight behind you. So you have hydraulic weight jackers. So it's 2 hydraulic cylinders. It's just a big screw on your dash that when you measure your ride height, you fill it up, it drops down, you screw those up until the ride height's back. And as you drive, you're dropping it. If you drop one side rather than the other, it'll tighten you up, loosen you up. Yeah, so you're constantly driving one-handed, tear-offs, doing this, like changing your shocks.
There's a lot of things going on. Like
they limit how much stuff you can have.
Yeah.
But like at the Chili Bowl, there's no rules. So guys will have 2 weight jackers, 4 adjustable shocks, and sometimes that's 2 knobs per shock because they got a compression and a rebound. So you can have 8 knobs for 4 shocks plus a weight jacker. Like it looks like.
How do you have time to like touch anything
while you're driving in a circle on an 1/8-mile track?
Yeah, which you're barely straight.
You have the spare presence to be able to do it.
But at the Chili Bowl, you're barely straight. Like the things turn pretty much the entire time. I mean, like looking at guys drive those things and like thinking about driving a NASCAR, you have all the time in the world. Like what are you doing in a NASCAR? It's in comparison.
And honestly, it's probably for a guy who's good at sprint cars. Like I don't want to bashing the guy, but one of the few guys to ever win all 3 USAC championships. So there's Tony Stewart obviously did it. I think Jack Hewitt did it, or maybe I'm just thinking of the 4 Crown, and J.J. Yaley. Yaley, it was a lot like Cole Trickle. Like, he was just overdriving the car. He was always fast, but he never won anything.
Yeah.
He had trouble at the end of the race because he's driving too hard. Like, he was used to, and I don't know if you've ever had it where you're like hustling along, you're out in a big lead, and you try and calm down, you break your rhythm, and you start making mistakes going slower. It's
yeah, totally.
It's not easy to do. He was, all the ADD, like, go fast, bunch of shit happening. Like, it's sometimes it's easier to just be flat out than it is to, like, cool it.
And Kyle Larson had the same problem for a while when he was with Ganassi. He would run what everyone called the Larson line up close to the wall on some of those NASCAR tracks. And yeah, it was like 5 to go, and you'd start walling the car. Mm-hmm. And he was out in the lead, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're in the lead, and you just throw away the race. I think it happened to him, like, close to 5 times of him just walling
bump the wall in a sprint car because you got the big right rear out there.
Right.
It's less...
You kill the right quarter panel on a NASCAR, it kind of means something.
Starts cutting tires, yeah.
So, okay, this racing progression, because we'll transition from you were racing full-time, essentially, kind of where did that stop? Like, where did the road stop of, hitting a ceiling or hitting a wall? Or, like, what made that transition to, okay, maybe I should focus on, like, making a shop full-time and making that my career?
Yeah, or was that a realization, or was that sort of something that just sort of happened?
I made a joke about this the other day. It was, I jokingly said I blame Helio Castroneves. So the whole Super Speedway Silver Crown thing, they're getting their talent from USAC, NASCAR was, but you can't let somebody drive on a quote-unquote super speedway without vetting them, basically. It's like why Fernando Alonso had to go through rookie testing at Indy.
Right.
Just things are different. Like one of the hardest things after you're going 200 miles an hour for an hour straight is trying to figure out what 60 miles an hour is or whatever pit lane speed is. Like, it's hard. So
right.
If you just let them do, like, oh, just calm down, they're going to come in about a $135, be like, I'm going like half the speed I was. Like, what's the big deal? So they make you do all that. To have a team to do that for a NASCAR owner, ARCA, Xfinity, it was Busch back then, whatever, that costs millions of dollars. NASCAR gave USAC, I think it was like $2 million to develop a car that could run on super speedway, so anybody coming out of USAC already could run a full Cup season. Just out of nowhere, boom, we don't have to waste a year in ARCA or spend all this money. And so that was the idea of that car. So we're doing that, and I had a buddy that I raced Russell with, who's Roger Penske's private pilot. And he said, hey, we're going to be in Richmond the same time for the IndyCar race. I think I can get you a meeting with Tim Cindric. I didn't know who the hell Tim Cindric was. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what do I talk about? He's like, I don't know, just, you're badass. He would come to my races. He'd help me out the little 500 because he was always there, bored for the week.
Right.
For the actual 500. So he was in my crew a bunch of times. And I'm at Richmond. We had practiced, whatever, and I go over to the motorhome, the Penske motorhome, to wait for Tim Cindric and just, see if there's any opportunities. Can I sweep the floors? Just whatever, I know there were some other guys in sprint cars. They would drive drivers' motorhomes to the track and just be around and rub elbows. And I race cars. If there's ever an opportunity or somebody gets sick or whatever.
You're always bringing your helmet to the raceway just in case.
You go everywhere with your
yeah.
helmet. Yeah, 100%. And go in there, and there's an Indy 500 trophy in the corner in a glass case, and there's Helio in his Marlboro suit. He's like, oh, hey, how's it going? He's super nice. And we're just BSing. And like I said, I'm coaching guys in between races to make a buck. Talking about the whole thing, he's like, oh, my God, you're driving one of those. He's like, I don't understand how anybody drives that much horsepower without downforce. He was doing IROC and crashing a lot, which he admitted to. And he was like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, he's like, obviously you can drive, and we're just BSing. He's like, you don't need to learn how to drive. Like, the fact that you can hold on one of those, like, just, you need to go find money. And he was being serious. He was like, that's how he got his first rides. Like, he had a family friend or a business or something that brought him some money to get into a seat, and then obviously he has other sponsors now, and he's really good. Takes the full package. He's like, if you had to take 2 years off to find enough money, he goes, if you were winning every race you ever entered in USAC, and Roger needed a driver, and then this other guy over here passed his medical and has $5 million, guess who gets the ride? And that sunk in a bit. I'm like, I had fun, I was living on the road and driving race cars for a living.
Yeah.
Just getting a little burned out. And I'm not a marketer. I sell myself. I'm like, I could work 24 hours a day, but.
When did that point happen? Like, when fundraising and sponsorship became really the paramount thing for whether or not you could continue a career in racing.
I mean, it probably always was. I was just willing to keep beating my head against it. To move forward from what I was doing would have been, a chunk of change. I mean, we were running top stuff in USAC, which was no small amount of money, and that was funded by the team owner. We had some help. I'd get free this, free that. The crew was always free. It was just guys that, friends or family that loved doing it. They bought their own plane tickets. They'd pay for my hotel room. It was definitely a buddy system to, like, get through it. And I didn't have really a plan for going beyond that. So
you get to this point where you're meeting with Helio Castroneves. You're like,
I was supposed to meet Tim Cindric. I think I don't remember anything about talking to Tim Cindric. I think I was just polite, and he was kind of like, all right, well, nice to meet you,
But it's just like the realization of, which is a lot of people's realization of getting into racing, is talent isn't everything. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the best driver in the world. Funding, bringing sponsorship to the table, that's more of the equation than just being good at driving cars. And it's like, I think that's a hard realization for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, racing costs a lot of money, and if you don't have money, come from money, or know people with money, you can only get so far with it.
Yeah, and even in F1, how many of those guys are paying for their seat?
Right.
And granted, they bring the sponsor, and that's great. It's like, oh, yeah, so I worked on this, or I created this, and I get it. Like, if I had an F1 team, it's like, well, that kid's pretty fast, but he doesn't have two nickels to rub together. This guy would bring $1 billion. Like, well, yeah, I guess
there's an incentive one way.
It's business.
Versus,
yeah, I get
totally.
it.
Money talks.
And
Yes.
so business, speaking of business, you didn't get out of the motorsport industry. You just kind of made a shift of, rather than focusing on driving full time, but like starting a business within motorsports or a shop to build, set up cars, manage other people's cars. What was kind of the main idea behind it?
Yeah, and I think I've touched on it. Like, the hours were always crazy, but I pretty much just lived in the truck, but just never home. I mean, I didn't have a residence for a couple years. Like, I'd mail stuff to my dad's house, I guess, but I'd check that once every 6 months. But when I came home, I just crashed on friends' couches here or there for a week, and then I was always just back on the road. I got just a little bit burned out on it. And so I was always coaching guys, and then I started to realize, like, well, this, and this is messed up. Like, your wheels are falling off. Like, well, who do I take it to? I'm like, I'm not the same guy you've been taking it to.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Don't go back to that, dude.
And they're like, well, can you fix it? I'm like, yeah. And so I started, like, fixing it. I'm like borrowing space in my uncle's shop and this. And I'm like, well, yeah, if I just coach guys and did setup, like, I don't even have to talk to them. I could get 10 seconds out of their car and get a second out of them. It's like a huge difference, right?
They feel great. They're writing you a nice check, and now you don't have to
and
travel
from
as
what
much.
Other people are, charging them, like, they're showing their bills. I'm like, well, the guy's just robbing you and not fixing your car, but whatever. Not my problem. So that's all I was going to do. I knew Ron. He got me my first shop because there used to be a waiting list here. It was actually hard to get space, and snagged me the shop and started doing that, and honestly just snowballed into everything because, that's what I was doing. I was just doing setups and coaching guys, and that's how I got it started. And I'd bring my alignment machine to NASA and SCCA and roll around on the ground all weekend and just point wheels in the right direction. It's really easy stuff.
How much difference do you see across vehicles, though? I mean, you started out in such different kind of machinery, and then you have guys rolling up in spec Miatas or cup cars or all these different things, and to you, do they all kind of look the same? Like, you're just setting up shocks and ride height and alignments and things, or is there more to that, getting that expertise and hands-on with that stuff?
No, and I should give Ron a lot of credit for it. Like, I didn't know anything, and then I hung out with Ron, and that's back when the shop was across from Turn 11, like at the gas pumps. And he'd watch a car come through there.
Yeah.
And, we didn't talk to each other in the morning. We got along for that reason. Like, we're not morning people. Like, the first thing we said every day was like, what do you want for lunch? But he'd walk out during a test day and just look at some car for 10 seconds, like, thing's got no rebound in it. And I'm like, the hell is this old guy talking about? Like,
blowing hot air.
He was
like,
full of it. And then you start looking at it, and he could literally watch a car go by and be like, well, it needs this. And it's all physics. So, yes, it can be very complicated, but they don't change. You're just going fast in a race car is all weight management. Whether you're a wingnut who couldn't put it into a sentence and you understand it, seat of the pants, or you're very academic about it, like, Nicky Lauda or something like that. It doesn't matter. Like, I know guys who can't change a flat tire who are fast in anything you put them in. And there's other guys, like, they got to methodically go through it. So understanding it, it's it's the same equation with weight and different tires and spring track conditions. It all boils down to one thing. Ron, owning a tire company for however long, he never used a pyrometer. He would just look at the tire. And if you look at the tire, it tells you a lot. So the grain of the tire and just all sorts of stuff. I mean, we could have a podcast about that, but I just learned enough. You can look at the car and it kind of tells you what you want. Or even if the setup's decent, but this guy's roasting the fronts off because of how he drives,
Right.
you can make it better for him. And most club drivers are, not pros, and then that's probably fading too. If you give them something that suits them, even though it's not the fastest, they're going to go the fastest that they have potential to go.
Yeah, well, that comfort behind the wheel. Like, okay, I think I could manage this vehicle the way it feels right now.
Yeah, and some people are more comfortable with loose or tight, which is kind of the simple way, but some people are more comfortable using their hands to get a car on the track, and some people are more comfortable with their feet.
Right.
And because they both, I think the feet actually have a bigger effect. The hands are probably from sprint cars, but your
Right.
feet control a lot more weight than your hands do.
Yeah.
That's just aiming it. But working on cars, spec Miatas, yes, there's a pretty small box. They're all in the same tire that they need. A lot of the guys have their cars too low. You still see that all the time, so they're bottoming out. So just correcting simple stuff, or they're just, they've crashed into 30 of their friends before they checked their toe last. So it wasn't rocket science to make stuff better.
Right.
Just kind of like the simple checklist stuff. And I think coming from a sprint car background, like you were talking about, where it's like you have 30 seconds of warm up before you go into qualifying, where checking everything is really important and making sure that the car is ready before you go to the track. I remember getting into club racing for the first time and was surprised of how many people spend so much money to go to the track for a weekend, and they spend 80 to 90% of their time working on their car. And you're like, when you pay your entry fee for track time, not wrench time, like you had all this prep time beforehand to get there, why not just have it set up correctly? So I feel like introducing that to club racers of, hey, there's a lot of time in preparation. We can make sure that this thing runs well. And when we go to the track, we're going with a purpose and we're efficient with our track time.
I mean, I would argue that if you shorten the length of the events, like, there's no reason it needs to be 3 days or 5 days. Like, make it one day and it's on Sunday. So Saturday, you're not at work. You can prep your car and show up ready to go. Like, there's no reason we got to sit around, stare at each other for this amount of time to watch 10 other classes we don't care about. Like, I think there could be something better done there. But yeah, that they're not prepared. And I dealt with that a lot I still have my hat on backwards. I'm dirty most days. I'm younger than most people who are peers and whatever I was doing. And so like, oh, they're not going to listen to me. I'm just like, all right, well, do it wrong then. I'm just telling you, like, that's falling off. Do you want to do something about it? Like, and I see a lot of other shops, I get a new customer, everything's ready to go, runs great, checking tire pressure. We got time to look at the video and see if he's anywhere near the line, like whatever, just trying to help people along, make it less painful, because it can be, right? You've had enough experiences where it's just like, this should have been fun. It just kicks me in the teeth. Like, nothing. You've heard like your best lap around the track. It shouldn't be your hair's on fire. It's usually pretty calm. You're like, well, that was my best. It was like, yeah, because nothing went horribly wrong. Like,
right.
It's calm.
There's no drama that time. It was just to plan.
So if I prep a car, I charge the guy something, and then I'm just checking tire pressure, putting in gas. You got this other guy who didn't prep the car and charged less than me because he literally charged him for doing nothing. He's thrashing all weekend long. He stays up till 2 a.m. and either does or doesn't pull it off. In their eyes, they don't know anything. That guy's working harder than me. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, then go with him. Good luck. And I learned a lot of this from the sprint car stuff. I mean, I look at stuff and it's, hokey or whatever, but they never underdo it. It's like, no, they just use a giant piece of tubing. It's just always overdone. And I had a guy that was a mechanic on the road and just an absolute animal. I mean, this guy just nothing was sexy about anything he fixed. But if I rolled the car and broke the front axle and we had a red flag, if you give this guy like a broomstick, 2 nails and some duct tape, he'd get me back out. And usually it was like pretty decent. I'm like, how? And he's like, oh, it's not my first time fixing the front axle with a broomstick. I'm like, all right, man. You just start to trust them. It's like, and as redneck as it seemed, like they're thoughtful about it. It's like, you want something strong, make it a triangle or make it round. Like it's pretty simple stuff. How do you align a car? How do you know what this car wants? Look at it. What do the tires look like?
Yeah.
If the tires look all pissed off, ask the guy who brought it to you, what kind of tire pressure do you run? Is it as simple as like, you need a tire pressure gauge, or like, do I need to change your camber? Like, everyone goes down a rabbit hole worrying about being too sporty in this one thing. There's no black magic. As long as there's no really weak link standing out, it's going to be pretty good. Now, if everybody's stuff's pretty good, you got to polish one of your 10 things. But if you spend time polishing this and then 1 out of 10 breaks, total waste of time to polish that.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Well, I just feel like so many people like overcomplicate race cars and racing and like setups and this like you're talking about. It's kind of simple. Make sure that everything is how it should be. Over prep, over prepare, and just make the thing go. Like I think that, I mean, I've seen so many kids, people, whoever trying to build like track cars, and they're basically throwing like, oh, I bought the $8,000 suspension, and it's like, well, how'd you set it up, or who'd set it up? It's like, oh, baseline settings, and it's like, okay, cool, like it's junk. Like I could put in like a solid piece of metal and it'd probably perform just as good as your $8,000 Ohlins if you don't set them up properly.
And the sportier the thing you have, like, if you take an F1 car and you mess up the setup, that thing's going to be hard to drive set up well. I mean, because it takes a bunch of balls and, you got to understand grip and aero and all that sort of stuff. And then it's not set up right. Even for an F1 driver, it might be undrivable. So people buy like, well, how come my car doesn't handle great? I bought $10,000 Ohlins. Because you put them in. Mm-hmm. And it's not aligned right. It's not going to work. You don't have to have spaceship stuff. Just if everything's decent, it's going to be decent.
Right.
But you can't have 10 things great and one thing all messed up and be like, well, it should be pretty good. I've only totally screwed up one thing. It's like, no, it kind of needs that.
Is that baseline? These things work together as a system, right? So you can't just neglect everything for the benefit of this one thing that's the shiny, right? And you see a lot of that happening, especially even not just in, track day guys, but out in club racing and higher levels. Way too much focus spent on one dimension of this thing that needs to all work together in a more complex way.
And that's what I try and do. So I didn't plan on doing all this stuff. I was just trying to coach guys. A lot of their cars are screwed up. You end up having semis and a dyno and just everything to control it. But I try and make it less painful on guys. Like, racing usually costs you more money than you plan on spending. Like, there's always something, or you do everything right and somebody drives in your door. It's like, there's another $5,000 or $10,000 bill. It's like something like that. I try and make it less painful for guys. Like, hey, I guess I should do a better job, because guys are like, oh, you don't want to take my money? It's not good enough for you? I'm like, no, it's just you have 10 grand. It's like burning a hole in your pocket. You only need 5 to fix this and get back out there. And then you can see the next thing that you need to spend 5 grand on. They're like, I want to spend 10 grand a day. I'm like, all right, I don't think you need to. Like, just trying to slow the bleeding for a lot of these guys so they stick around and enjoy it for a little while longer.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot of like people that come into motorsports or racing and they kind of go like hard and fast and burn the candle quick, and they're out of racing within
a bad
3
taste
years?
in their mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, they want the fastest thing and they want to go the hardest and they want like whatever, and it's like this, it kind of like gets out of control really quickly, where it's like, no, like enjoy the process, learn how to drive. And so my next question for you is, people getting into racing, I think we ignore like the track day people, but people wanting to get into racing or really enjoy motorsports, what is your biggest piece of advice for them?
I used to turn my nose about it. It's like, if it's not a competitive race, I'm like, oh, it's boring. But like, if you're just out there to have fun, like, be honest with yourself. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to get into this track event or this race group because, I really love these cars and I think I could be good at it and go fast. It's like, it's because their dad liked those cars and they don't really care, and like they don't want to work on themselves. It's like, I don't care what the reason is. And I've had customers tell me like, I know I'm never going to be fast. I like the way that sounds. I was like, good enough for me.
Right.
You're not trying to kid me that like, oh, I'm going to go win this or that. And a lot of people just won't give me the straight answer. I don't care what the reason is anymore. I used to like want you to actually want to competitively race because I thought I could help those people the best. But yeah, a lot of people will tell me, oh, I want to do this because of this, or I think this is cool. It's like, no, you don't. Your new girlfriend does. Or it's like, that's even shorter lived. Like, this is going to be short lived and tough anyways.
Yeah.
Just tell me why you want it. It was like, I like the color red. That car's red. I'm going to go race it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Can you afford to? Sure. Let's go. Good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, how do you coach that guy who's like has in their head that they were going to drive a thing, and you're kind of like, that's not really the right car for you for what it is that you want to accomplish? How do you kind of turn that mindset?
I tell him once nicely. I tell him twice less nicely. I'm like, hey, you said this. I responded with this, and now you're contradicting that.
You're almost like a therapist.
And so either it works
Right?
out.
Like-
I guess the simpler way to put it is like, yeah, it's like what's your goal here? And I think I can help you. I've had a lot of experience. I've seen it go wrong a bunch of times. Like, I don't know everything. I never claimed to. Like, I love calling somebody like Franz who's smarter than me, but like, not my department. Got that covered. Like, it's just, a lot of people are kidding themselves, or if they don't want to listen. I don't care what you want to do. If you're willing to learn, and if you look at the greats, I mean, Michael Schumacher, anybody, they're not cocky or say like, I know everything. They're always just trying to do better. And that's the thing. There's nothing perfect. No one's ever done a perfect lap. Just do better next time. And if you've done it for a while, you're probably going to be pretty decent at it. But if you're not willing to listen or change, that's what I can't work with. I don't care how fast, slow, or what you're driving or anything. It's just a matter of, do you want to actually try and improve, or you need to spend this money today?
What's more enjoyable for you? Somebody who's struggling in a thing that you can kind of turn them around, or somebody who comes in and sort of has facility for it right away, and you can achieve higher levels of success through them?
Helping somebody achieve a goal. I mean, I've worked with a lot of younger drivers and, taking them up through the ranks. And, there's usually the guys who end up being more successful, there's a bit of a confidence thing going along. Like they're realistic about what they bit off, realize what they're up against. And then they're like, oh man, I'm like, come on, you got this. Don't worry about him. Like, everyone's in this, like, flag drops, everyone's on their own. You got the same piece. Give it hell, and then they pull it off. And so they're really happy. So helping somebody get something they want to achieve, or even, it's not even a race, it's a track day, and a customer does a faster lap and they're whatever, and they're like, I didn't think that'd be possible. I was like, I know. I remember when you got the car. Remember, I did this lap, you did that. And you're like, oh my God, there's no way. You're within a second of that. Yeah. Did you think that'd be possible a year later? Like, no. And I was like, did you scare the crap out of yourself? They're like, no, I just didn't step on my own feet. And I'm like, see? Kind of cool, right? He's like, I'm going to bring some friends out. I'm going to put them in the passenger seat. I'm like, cool, let's scare some other people. Like, I'm totally in. Like, just letting them realize, like, it shouldn't be hair on fire.
Yeah. I mean, I asked you the question at the beginning of this of, like, how would you define yourself within the motorsport space, or, like, what is the title that you would give yourself? And through this conversation of your journey through motorsports and climbing the ranks and then starting your own thing, like, I feel like I would give you the title of, like, motorsport consultant. Like, what you're talking about now, like, you talk more about the mindset or developing a plan for someone. And a lot of people that come into motorsports, they go, ooh, shiny, and they don't really have a direction, and they waste a bunch of money going the wrong way or driving the wrong thing or just wrecking something that's ungodly expensive that they don't need to be learning how to drive in. And to have someone that's, like, one, willing to take them in to, like, work on their car, prep their car, be there for them during the track day, like, all of the things that you need to, like, help run and operate a race car, but then also being that kind of, like, voice of reason of, hey, this is where we need to go, or, like, guiding someone or asking them the right questions so that they do have a clear path and goal. I think that's a super, super important thing that a lot of people kind of forget about. Like, this is a very intense activity. Even though you're not trying to go pro, you kind of have to have that, like, pro athlete mindset of, I have a goal, I have an objective, not being worried or concerned or overwhelmed by the task at hand. And having a mentor with you to help you with that is, I think, a very invaluable thing. And not a lot of people offer that in the motorsport space. There's so many people that have shops or work on cars or whatever, and their main goal is to get as much money out of the person as possible. So it's kind of cool to see that, like, not to say that, like, people say that Tim Barber doesn't have a heart, but, like, Tim Barber has a heart.
I do if you survive that long around me. I don't know. Just being honest. Like, the people, I had to figure out my own setups. I worked on a lot of my own stuff. Like, there's a lot of snakes out there, or people that, they think they have the secret sauce, so they're not going to help you. Like, oh, it's all private over here. It's like, all right, whatever, man. And some of the honest people who just, for whatever reason, they just wanted to give me a chance or help me out, or, all the people who donated time, like, yeah, just honesty. And, like, not that was, like, the life-changing thing, but Helio, he was literally just catching some AC at Richmond there, and I'm in there. He's like, oh, what are you doing here, kid? He's like, oh, well, honestly, if you want to go further, he was being honest. Yeah, it's not what I wanted to hear.
Right.
And I do that to people all the time. I was like, you sure you want me to answer that? I'll give you the truth. And yeah, I do hang my hat a lot on just being honest with people. A lot of people don't want the full truth.
I was
It's
gonna
not
say,
why- it's not why they're here.
People get pissed off by the truth of like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
And I've said that to customers. Like, it's usually people that are a mile off the pace, and God bless them. If we don't get more of those, then we don't have fresh blood to keep the sport going. But they come in and they don't want to change anything. They don't want to fix anything in their driving. And I was like, dude, I'm not here to pat you on the back. Like, that sucked.
Yeah.
I will help you. I will take as long as you want to correct this. Try different ways. Like, I'm going to say how it works for me. You try that. It doesn't work for you. Like, I talk to people about how many times I've broken my ankle because I'm not that good at blipping, but I can blip anything and not grind gears. I'm like, look, sometimes you got to wag your knee or, actually heel toe. Put your heel on the brake pedal. Like, whatever works, man. Just get to it.
I'd call you motorsport therapist. It's sort of a tough love type of a therapy, but it's telling people what they need to hear in a way that will get through to them because it's different.
Honest about it, you're not going to fix it anyway. So, like, what's the point?
Well, there's a lot of egos in this stuff, right?
Oh,
People
yeah,
come
no,
in-
100%.
Yeah, so it's got to break through that. And for some people, they come out to race and they think they know what they're doing before they start. And I think breaking through that, getting to that beginner's mind is essential. And, does it take breaking somebody down sometimes to do that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not. I probably do that more than I want to. It's not the goal. It's just being honest. Like, okay, if we're not going to address the actual problem, we're just fluffing each other here. Like, you guys have had enough jobs. Like, half any job that's worthwhile is babysitting. I don't care what you do. There's a lot of babysitting. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, like bouncing around doing all these things, it's like when you show up, like make a splash. Like, I think a lot of people too, if you can't do it right, don't do it. That's kind of like the bottom line.
Yeah.
And be honest with yourself about what you want to achieve. I don't care what that is. But if you're trying to be competitive, whatever, a lot of people feel like, and seat time's obviously very important. I mean, practicing anything. If you're going to run a marathon, you don't run 5 miles the night before to figure out what you forgot. It's like, no, rest. Like, come on.
Right.
But a lot of people try and, I got to race this weekend. Why, do you have a contract with somebody? Like,
You getting paid?
yeah, is somebody going to kill you if you don't show up at the track tomorrow? Well, no, the points. Points for what? They didn't pay anything. Skip a race, show up prepared, just do it right so you get quality time out of your precious track time. You know
Right.
how hard it is to find days for your vehicle or track days or races or whatever. It's precious time. Make the most of it. Like,
Yeah.
Totally.
skip a race, do it right. Or I want to race X. Okay, we haven't raced in 2 years. Used to be good. Get something cheaper and do 20 days in it. That'll cost you the same as 2 days in the thing you want to race. Get rid of your own rust before you start making dollars per mile way worse.
Yeah, this is life lessons, right? These are the kind of things that a lot of people, I'll say, including myself, you think you have things figured out, then you come and you show up and you want to try to race a car. And you think you know what you want to do and how you want to do it and all these things. And it just takes not having such a hard head that you can't learn anything from it. But all that's to be had. All of that experience is to be gained. And exactly what you're saying. If you go in there thinking you have all the answers, there's no way you can possibly go in and learn. You just have to be open to the people who have more experience and expertise doing this stuff, who can help point in those directions. If you listen carefully, even the tough love message, underneath it, there's the love.
Yeah, no, it's the guys who are actually nicer or halfway honest that are going to help you out more. It's like, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's like, that doesn't get you anywhere. So yeah, be honest about it. I mean, I'm all for a dumb time too. Like, I don't want to short myself. Nobody's going to come up with a bad idea soon, go waste a bunch of money. But being honest about what it is, like, no, I just want that because it's that. And it's like, okay, well, it's never going to be fast. It can't do this. You're like, yep, that's the one I want. I'm like, perfect. You're being honest about it. I'm not going to go, I want this, but it doesn't do all the things you told me it won't do. It's like, fine. I don't care what the reason is. Just be honest with yourself. That's all.
Well, this has been awesome. Tim, thanks for taking the time to come down with us and join us on the podcast. I think motorsport therapist is something you should add to your resume.
I'll make cards.
So appreciate your insight, sharing your story of how you got into racing, the hard truths of motorsports. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people should be aware of. And even if you're doing it on a small level and track days, it's something to always keep in mind.
Yeah, there's no way to know everything. I wouldn't call myself wise or anything else, but there's usually somebody who's an expert at something. Whoever that guy is, and it's usually not the guy who's selling it to you. Like, oh, I got all this advice. It's only $9.99. It's like, if you find somebody who's worth their salt in motorsports, they probably really don't have a lot of free time. Not because they're so busy. Maybe they just don't want to work anymore because they're just tired of the whole thing. But if they're willing to take your time, just find the best at whatever it is you want to go do and waste your time on that. Waste your time and money on the best guy, because there's a lot of just jokers out there that you're just spinning your wheels.
It's cool. I really appreciate you sharing all your experience and stuff with us. I mean, you've left an imprint in motorsports, definitely in this area and further away than maybe either of us realize. But it's because you've taken that passion and that approach, and you've made excellence from it. And the other people who've had a chance to work with you and experience that through you have been able to gain, that excellence in their own right. And it's a very cool thing.
Yeah, no, friends, and obviously it wasn't my bankroll for a lot of it. It was just, well, I'm willing to work really hard at something, and you can pull off stuff. You stick together, and you're honest about it. It's like, okay, well, we've never done this. Let's not suck.
Right. Good advice for sure. Yeah. This has been a really fun conversation. Thanks for coming to talk to us.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Cold Start. Thanks for listening.